on that particular area. That would be this cell right here. Let's go into high res velocity. That's definitely looks like there's some very strong winds there. And let's see, gonna go back into reflectivity. Let's go into 3D. Yeah, we can see that's a pretty large storm there. And it's part of a much longer line of some pretty intense storms that are moving into southern Ontario. Okay. Well, let's look at the actual warning text. So Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking a severe thunderstorm that is possibly producing a tornado, damaging winds, large hail, and locally intense rainfall are also possible. So let's see, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 7 kilometers west of Kettle Point, moving east at 80 kilometers an hour. So the main hazard is a tornado, 100 kilometer an hour wind gusts, and nickel-sized hail. So the rotation of the tornado was noticed on radar. This has not been verified by a spotter because the rotation was noted over Lake Huron, not over land. So the locations impacted include Grand Bend, Lambton Shores, the Pinery Provincial Park, Kettle Point, Ipperwash Beach, and Port Franks. So we're going to be watching this storm very, very closely, and as you can see, we have more storms which have resulted in severe thunderstorm warnings along most of the eastern shore of Lake Huron. And generally it looks like these storms are moving east at 80 to 85 kilometers per hour. Let's see, I'm going to go into dual pane. Yep, these are some pretty strong storms, so I'll put this into animation. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens as these storms move inland off of Lake Huron. Sometimes storms, they don't reach their peak nastiness until they get more into the middle of the peninsula. So basically from Barrie to Kitchener to London, it'll be interesting to see how the storms are when they reach that area. Oh, a new tornado warning has just been issued. New tornado warning. Okay. The tornado warning for southwestern Ontario has been updated. The following localities are included in the warning: Sarnia, Lambton, and Huron County. Let's see. Environment Canada meteorologists are tracking a severe thunderstorm that is possibly producing a tornado. Damaging winds, large hail, and locally intense rainfall are also possible. So as you can see, we have our new tornado warning area. This was the original area, and now it's also expanded to include this area up here. But as we know, the main culprit is this cell here. And let's actually take a closer look at this cell also. See if there's any rotation we can notice. Possibly to the southwest of Clinton. So we're going to have to watch that one also. So yeah, we have definitely some very nasty storms going on here. At this point, if Lambton County gets impacted, it's only going to be a very, very small portion of Lambton County. It looks like Huron County is more under the gun. And this area right in here is the most interesting. And that looks like it may go right into Grand Bend. Ooh, that's not good. Don't really want to see a storm like that go into a town. Excuse me, I'm just popping open a can of Pepsi Zero. Pepsi Zero tastes good and no sugar. And no, they are not sponsoring this video. So we'll keep an eye on that. And just so everybody knows, this is my first full day broadcasting. I've set up a new studio at home in my office. And I'm actually broadcasting using a new 14-inch MacBook Pro. And this is the base model, which is quite powerful, you know, without buying any extras. And the radar is displayed from my iPad Pro, which works really well when it's connected to the MacBook Pro. So just a shout out to Apple for making these great products, which make it much easier to do a live stream like this. So thank you, Apple. And no, Apple is not sponsoring this video either. I'm just a big Apple nut, as everybody that knows me can tell you. Okay, we're going to watch the animation again. Now, if you go back several years, just north of Grand Bend, the city of Goderich was hit by a very violent tornado that moved in off of Lake Huron. And tornadoes that move in off of Lake Huron are not very nice. So, anybody who is in the Grand Bend area should be seeking shelter right now. Anybody in Grand Bend should be seeking shelter. Anybody within 2 to 3 kilometers of Grand Bend should be seeking shelter. Now we're just going to take a look at what's going on further up this line. Oh. Yeah, I'm still most concerned about that area right there. Okay, so according to this update, the tornado was located right near Port Franks, moving east 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah, so Grand Bend and the Pinery Provincial Park are getting the worst of the storm right now. So Grand Bend, if you're in Grand Bend, in Pinery Provincial Park, take shelter. Unfortunately, from radar, we cannot tell the enhanced Fujita scale rating of this tornado. But you don't want to take a chance with any tornado, even an F0 and F1. They're all capable of producing damage. And if you're out in the open, even a weaker tornado can be deadly. Yeah, the main area of rotation is impacting the northern half of Grand Bend. So anyone in the northern half of Grand Bend to 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers along Highway 21 north of Grand Bend, take shelter immediately. We do have a radar indicated tornado moving through that area right now. So please take shelter immediately. And we have another rotation, looks like developing on radar. And this would be west of Blythe, quite a ways west of Blythe yet. We're going to have to watch that area also. That doesn't look good. Okay, so I would not be surprised if we get an expansion of the tornado warning. They may have to expand it a bit further northeast. So we're definitely going to keep a very close eye on this. And I want to take a look, see if there's any development further out west. Yeah, there's some stuff along Interstate 69 in Michigan and near Port Sanilac and Applegate in the Michigan Thumb area, which will be moving out into Lake Huron any moment. Okay, I believe I see two distinct rotations now. Okay. Main areas of concern, this area. And now that area. Let me see if there's anything else we need to watch. That's the main area of concern right now. Okay, we're going to keep in on the London area radar for a while. And one thing we are watching for is the development of a hook echo. Because when you get a tornadic storm, you often get a hook echo that develops usually in the southwest quadrant of the storm. So what we would be watching for is particularly right here. And very concerning also is right here. Okay, so again, the worst of this looks like it's moving through northern part of Grand Bend to just north of Grand Bend. Then the second big area of concern is northwest of Clinton, Ontario. Let's put these storms into motion here. So you can see how they've been progressing. And since this is Toronto Weather TV, we also want to take a look at what's going on closer to Toronto. And as you can see, the line is approaching us from the west. And it actually won't take very long for it to get here at the rate it's moving. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so we can see the worst of it is moving over Highway 21 north of Grand Bend and moving east of Highway 21. People in the Exeter area, you are going to have to keep alert for this storm. This could move relatively close to Exeter, Ontario. So we are going to keep a very close eye on that. And then we got another one here. Yeah, we got a very, very strong storm. It looks like it's pretty much northeast of Clinton now. And then the big one, which is northeast of Grand Bend. I'm going to change our tilt on the radar, see if it gives us any different information. Okay, so again, main areas we want to concentrate on. Those are the 2 points which have the highest probability of producing any tornadoes right now. Let's migrate up the line a bit. This looks like a pretty strong cell here too. If anything, it looks like this cell's actually getting stronger. We can see the main part of the storm now is east of Highway 21. Looks like it's going to pass, it's going to pass really close to Dashwood, probably just a bit north of Dashwood. I'm just hoping it doesn't hit Exeter, because they don't need, well, nobody needs to see a storm like this, to be honest. Okay, so yeah, this is a very impressive storm. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to look at it in 3 dimensions. we can see it. It is the strongest of all the storms in this series, with this one coming. Let's see. So this is the strongest. And this one is a close second. Yeah, we've actually got a pretty strong storm out over the lake now. Over central Lake Huron. Although it probably won't be too bad once it starts moving into areas that have been cooled off from this original storm, because you have this line of storms here, and this is going to be moving in to an area that's already had rainfall, which has helped to reduce the ambient temperature in the air. So hopefully this storm here will not become like these storms here. Well, let's see what else is going on in Michigan. Okay, we see a severe thunderstorm. It's impacting the Port Huron area. Looks like it's going to graze Sarnia in Ontario. But it looks like Sarnia will miss the worst of that storm as the storm progresses this way and moves out over southern Lake Huron, so that's good. It looks like we have some more showers and thunderstorms popping up further down the line. Nothing really major yet. Okay, let's go back into the King City Toronto radar. Yeah, it looks like the worst of the storm is going to pass north of Exeter. So that's good to see. So here's Exeter. Looks like the storm will move more in that direction. But of course, the main area I'm concerned about is this area, Toronto area. And in particular where that blue dot is, because that blue dot is where I am. So I am right at the junction of the Don Valley Parkway and the 401. I'm about, I guess about 86 meters above the interchange. turn off the GPS feature because it keeps on wanting to zoom in. Okay. So now we're going to get to see how these storms change as they move across southern Ontario. And if they actually, it's possible they could weaken as they get closer to Lake Ontario, which could be a good thing for Toronto. But we'll just have to wait and see. Let's see, our ambient air temperatures are still pretty high in the Toronto area. So as long as the temperature remains high and the air is really juicy from humidity, you know, that gives these storms the fuel they need to keep going. And plus the lapse rate, position of the jet stream, all plays a very important factor in this. Oh yeah, so the lighting I'm using and the green screen, that's not actually a wall and a shelf behind me, that's a green screen. The green screen and the ring light that I'm using, I just bought those off of Amazon. And, you know, they do a pretty good job. On the other side of the green screen is actually my work desk. And I set the MacBook Pro up on another desk that I have along the opposite wall. Okay, so the storms are still chugging along. We have had a few weaker showers and thunder showers already move through parts of the GTA. But as you can see, the main line is still approaching from the west. Okay. Okay, let's just look at some forecast models here. So as you can see, the forecast models actually show what we're experiencing right now. And the model is showing that the activity should weaken once it gets past the Toronto area. Let's take a look at some satellite imagery. Yep, so you can see the cluster of storms blow up that's moving over southwestern Ontario now. And you can see what looks like a secondary line developing behind it. Which we can basically confirm on radar. Doesn't want to do that until I zoom out. There we go. So, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the view here. I need to find a better radar site. Obviously some more storms further up north. And basically, what we saw on satellite, this is a secondary line which formed behind the main line, which is preceding it. And actually, I might be able to see that from the London radar. Yeah, because basically this is the first line and this is the secondary line behind it. This whole storm complex bears watching too. Even here, you can see some more of that second line that developed west of the first line. Okay, so it won't take too long until this stuff starts impacting areas just west of the GTA as it moves into the GTA. Okay, so far we've been on 41 minutes 52 seconds. I think YouTube cuts us off at the 2 hour mark and then we have to restart the stream. It's just a YouTube thing. Oh, and I know I was explaining earlier the technology I was using to do this live stream. You know, I mentioned I'm using a MacBook Pro, I'm using an iPad Pro, a green screen, a ring light, but I forgot to mention the software I'm using. I'm actually using Ecamm Live, which is a Mac-only software product specifically designed for live streaming. And you can live stream not only to YouTube, but all the main streaming platforms. You can even multi-stream to the platforms all at the same time using Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live has two subscription levels. Right now I'm using the lower of the subscription levels, which seems to be working out pretty good. Let's see. There is also a higher subscription level, which allows you to do like interviews where you interview other people, which is pretty cool. So if I ever start doing something like that, I might have to upgrade. But right now, the first level, it's working out pretty good so far. Okay, so we're watching the storm still as they march their way across southwestern and southern Ontario. So it looks like a large part of the GTA is at least going to get a bit of rain out of this. It's too early to say how severe it's going to be when it gets here. Only time will tell. Unfortunately, we've already seen it's been pretty bad for people in southwestern Ontario, where we had that potential tornado near the Port Franks Grand Bend area. I am hoping there was no damage in that area. Hopefully everybody was able to take shelter. Yeah, basically, anytime you see any type of storm approaching, it's always a good idea to seek some reasonable shelter. Because even if a storm isn't necessarily severe, there are always hazards associated with a storm. One of the major hazards is lightning. And, you know, lightning isn't always just underneath the storm. Lightning can hit areas that are technically under a clear sky. You know, the so-called bolt out of the blue, that's real. And you can be hit by lightning, you know, many miles, you know, outside of the actual area that's covered by the storm cloud. So you always want to be very cautious with approaching thunderstorms. And lightning is one of the main killers, as well as flash flooding from sudden heavy rains, as well as tornadoes, which tornadoes are, fortunately, they're very rare in Canada. But tornadoes, when they do happen and where they do happen, can be very deadly, very quickly. So you do not want to take any chances, any risk with any type of storm. Yeah, we can see the severe thunderstorm warnings are starting to move further east. Even London's under a severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, so the second line of storms may not stay a second line. It's possible it could possibly move faster than the main line and actually kind of blend into it. So we'll see what happens with that. These storms are getting much closer to the Guelph and Kitchener and Waterloo areas now. A Pepsi Zero Sugar is good. It's a very good drink for people who are diabetic and who like Pepsi, but they don't need the sugar. As you can see, this is a pretty long storm system. Okay, I gotta restart this app for a second because I'm missing one of my menus I need. There we go. I'm going to switch to MRMS. Oh. And this lets me zoom out and look at the entire North America. So as you can see, there's some activity down Tiffin, Ohio, moving northeast towards Sandusky area and out over Central Lake Erie. And we have the stuff that's moving through Ontario. Oh, we even have some stuff up near Val d'Or and areas around there. See what's going on out west. Looks generally quiet for the most part. A couple severe thunderstorms in Oklahoma, nothing really too bad. Oh, here's a pretty good storm south of Monterey. In Mexico. That's actually way south of Monterey. Yeah, that's near a town, looks like southwest of Margaritas. Oh, that's an interesting name for a town. I bet you they must have some good margaritas there. Okay, I'm horrible at lame jokes, I know. Okay, we're going to switch our radar. Oh, actually, let's take a look at severe. Okay, so this is the convective outlook from the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. And they mentioned the possibility of an isolated tornado or two from southern Michigan into Ontario, which looks pretty accurate considering what we've already seen. Wow. ML Cape values might exceed 4,000 joules. Wow. That's definitely pretty conducive weather. Actually, let's do some satellite reviews too. I'm going back to single site radar view. Wow, this storm over Lake Huron has gotten very intense. Right there. It's a pretty good storm. Oh. Man, it looks like it's could be tornadic. Okay, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, the storms don't seem to be holding together as well once they move east of Lake Huron. And by the time that line gets here, we'll probably be past the peak heat and humidity, so they probably won't be too bad when they get here. Okay, so we should have storms approaching Guelph by 6:38, according to this. Yeah, so they might not be too bad when they get to the GTA. But I am concerned about what's over Lake Huron right now. I hope it doesn't slam into Grand Bend again. They've already had enough for today. Yeah, they do seem to be weakening as they move further inland in southern Ontario. Which is probably a good thing. Yeah, so based on what I'm seeing here, I think the chance of severe weather in the GTA is starting to decrease. People in the southwest area of Ontario, they still need to be cautious with storms moving in off of Lake Huron. But as these storms migrate to the east, they seem to be losing some of their punch, at least according to the radar imagery. Okay, so I'm going to keep monitoring it. If it looks like there's any direct threat of anything bad happening in the GTA, then I will start another broadcast. But for right now, I'm going to end this broadcast and get some supper. Okay, so I will see everybody the next time.